Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDR's, but hey, it's something. Now, if I sound bad in this episode, it's because I am currently diseased. I don't know with what. I went to a doctor and I did not have COVID. I did not have the flu, apparently. I guess I have a cold. I don't know if I do. And it almost canceled this episode because yesterday, which is the day that I was supposed to record this, I was in literally not a single remote condition to make this episode. I literally felt like my bones were literally made out of solid ice. But either way, it doesn't even matter because like this episode is kind of more chill, I guess. So it doesn't really matter that much. Also, latest video has been blowing up. That's pretty fascinating. It's actually not that surprising, especially because it's pretty obvious that the Mexico content clearly does better. Maybe I should just be a Mexico only exclusive channel. In the past 2 days, it's gotten it's gotten 1.9k views, and now I'm officially in the 2,000 subscriber phase. 2,055 subs. Woohoo! That'll be the year I turn 55. It makes sense because I also included a hashtag, so it's like that's probably a tip. Use more hashtags to get your video more noticed. But anyways, with that out of the way, let's get right into the news. First news story is interesting because it's it's about our boy Justin Trudeau. He's officially decided to step down as not only the leader of the Liberal Party, but effectively step down as Prime Minister. Basically, he's going to stay on until the Liberals get to choose who their next leader is, to which afterwards they'll probably call an early election. And as is typical, a lot of Libs are getting mad at the left for some reason. Like, this is one of the big things. It's really weird. I remember, like, they were, like, getting really mad at Jagmeet Singh for, like Jagmeet Singh, why'd you do this? It's like, why are you, like, shifting the blame away from Justin Trudeau? That's one thing everybody's always pointed out. It's like, Justin Trudeau has been in power for all this time. Why hasn't he done anything to facilitate Liberals having this power stay forever? Like, why? And they rush to blame Jagmeet Singh. Like, oh, Jagmeet Singh, why didn't you bail Trudeau out? Why didn't you keep him around? It's like, that's not Jagmeet Singh's job. His job is to lead the NDP to win. That's his job. His job is to get the NDP to be the majority so he can govern. Trudeau's popularity has been stagnant for a while now. He's basically just been riding on like his first election was him being like this new smack dab, like new face. But the problem was he just didn't do anything. Like a lot of people have been pointing this out, especially recently. It's like when he first got elected, he's like, one of my first priorities is to change the electoral system in Canada. And he says now, my biggest regret was that I didn't change the electoral system of Canada. It's like, what was the point of you getting elected then if you weren't going to do the thing that you wanted to do? And before people go, well, but just Trudeau did this, Trudeau did this, Trudeau did this. It's like, yes, but like, listen, did Trudeau have like a major policy that... This is the thing that is the biggest problem with fucking Liberals. With this, especially with the most recent, like, total loss of Kamala Harris, and, like, people not liking Joe Biden. It's like, but Joe Biden did this, Joe Biden did that, blah, 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 blah. It's like, yes, that is true. That doesn't matter, though. What was your rhetoric? What was your, like, actual, like, you need to go, like, I mean, if you want to, like, run on, like, these big policy changes, you need to have big policy changes. Like, Bernie runs on Medicare for all. That's a major, massive policy shift that would, like, change everything. And with previous Liberals understood this. FDR did Social Security. LBJ did Medicaid and Medicare. Like, these are massive policies. Obama did Obamacare. These are massive policies that made major changes. Can you think of any major, big policy that Justin Trudeau did? Truthfully, I don't. Now, there are some people who probably go, well, what about, who are the people who could possibly replace Justin Trudeau? Personally, I don't care. It doesn't matter in any sense of the word. Because, one, currently, as of all polling, the Conservatives are predicted to have a big wipeout. There are polls that have the NDP in second place. That is not a good sign for the Canadian Liberals. I don't think anything can happen that will really make like a big, like, their polls are literally like seen as like a massive. Let me see. I think one of the big jokes is sorry, but like one of the big jokes is that the only place in Canada that the Conservatives are not predicted to have a massive electoral wipeout is in Quebec, and that's because in Quebec, they have the Bloc Québécois that has engulfed basically the entirety of Canadian politics. Well, I mean, Quebec politics. Like, I mean, really, the biggest thing we can hope for is that the NDP just magically swallows up all the support that the Liberals have and then just becomes the new leading party. But we know that's not going to happen because Liberals think that the NDP is too far left because, I don't know, they have Brown Man as leader. Trudeau has no one to blame but himself. That's the fact that all these fucking Liberals do not understand. You have no one to blame but yourself. You do nothing for people, and then you're surprised, why do the people not like us, and then we'll go to these other people? It's like, yeah, no shit. What do you think was going to happen? Anyways, next news story. A bit of a sad update. It's Pepe Mujica. It's not the update you think it is, but it is the update you think it is, because it's close. It's Pepe Mujica has basically made an announcement that he was going through treatment for his cancer, esophageal cancer, and then he went to, like, the media, and said, like, so how's your cancer doing? And he literally just explicitly stated, yeah, it's metastasized in my liver, I'm dying. With the article stating that he said this with tears in his eyes, and then he said, what I ask is that they leave me alone, don't ask me for more interviews or anything else, my cycle is over. And it's like, yeah. I mean, guys, I stated this explicitly when he was first diagnosed with cancer. He was like a 91-year-old man who had got esophageal cancer. The 5-year survival rate was incredibly low for him anyways, even with treatment. And clearly, it hasn't been panning out. The real question for me is whether or not he lives to be around for when I make my Pink Tide ranking video, because that's coming up at some point in the year. I think I could just officially state this. It doesn't really matter. That it's going to come out on May Day, and it's like, Willie, I don't know. I basically looked up how long does it take for metastasized cancer to kill you, and it's like the average is like 10 months, but I'm pretty sure they're taking like the average of all the people who have metastasized cancer. So it's like, I don't know. Again, regardless, whatever. Pepe Mujica's lived a long life and he's done a lot of good things, and he's a figure we can all commend and be proud of. Speaking of a figure we can be proud and be proud of, the exact opposite comes from Andrew Tate, who has announced that he is forming a brand new political party in the United Kingdom called the Britain Restoring Underlying Values, or BRUV Party, which, for those who don't know, I mean, I knew this, but I didn't know this. I knew that the word bruv was like a slang term in the UK. I just didn't necessarily know what it was. It's basically the equivalent of saying bro. Like it's like a good greeting between two men. And he's made this big thing about, like, oh, he wants to run for the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and then most people point out you don't run for Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. You have to run a party and win. And it's just basically just a vanity bid, basically trying to do the same thing Trump did, where it's like, oh, I'm running to get out of jail. And a lot of fascists in the United States will be like, oh, it's so over for Starmer, it is over. It's like, I don't even know how popular Andrew Tate is in the fucking United Kingdom. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know. Just because, like, these, especially it's like when these new right-wing parties, they don't really, like, land. I mean, in Canada, like, there was the People's Party of Canada, that was that new, like, far-right party that came in Canada, and they're not doing so hot. Reform UK, they're still not, like, they're doing better now, but they haven't been doing fine thus far. They've basically been, like, all the way at the bottom. So I don't know how well this party will do, if it will even be a thing. There's a good chance this party just doesn't even get off the ground. But whatever. It doesn't really matter. I just thought it was an interesting story. Next news story is a tragic news story. The GOP-controlled North Carolina Supreme Court blocked certification of Democrat as winner of a close high court race. The order allows state Supreme Court to hear a challenge by the Republican candidate of the race, who trails by just 734 votes, to have 60,000 ballots thrown out. The North Carolina Supreme Court issued an order Tuesday that blocks state officials from certifying the Democratic candidate as the winner of a razor-thin race for the state's high court. In a 4-2 count, all but one of the Republicans on the state Supreme Court ruled to prevent the North Carolina State Board of Elections from certifying the results of the race, where Democrat Justice Allison Riggs holds a 734 lead over Republican Jefferson Griffin. Riggs recused herself from Tuesday's order. The decision by the court that Griffin is seeking to join and that Riggs is seeking to remain on allows the justices to now hear a challenge from Griffin that seeks to throw out 60,000 votes cast in November. The order vowed to address the issue expeditiously, as outlined in a schedule that sets the deadline for all briefs of the case to be filed by January 24th. Riggs, who was appointed by the state Supreme Court in 2023, emerged from Election Day with a narrow advantage over Griffin, triggering a series of recounts, a full machine recount, and a partial hand recount that shows that Riggs is leading Griffin by 700 blah blah blah. Griffin subsequently filed hundreds of legal challenges across North Carolina's 100 counties, claiming that nearly 60,000 people voted illegally. And, you know, there are a lot of people, like, there are a lot of things you could say about this, but, like, the fact of the matter is, this is just, guys, I just gotta be real, democracy's over. Sorry, guys. With this, democracy's over. I'm sorry, guys. This is just gonna be a thing now. You guys don't understand. Especially with Kamala losing. This is just going to be a thing now. When Republicans lose a race, they're just going to challenge the race and then try to rig the election just so that they get on the race. That's what's going to happen now. That's just precedent now. And it's because of the fact that Trump wasn't punished for his blatant attempt to try and overthrow the 2020 election. He was not punished. And we would never punish these gerrymanders and, like, people who do this before. We didn't punish Kemp. We didn't punish Trump. And now they're just going to go ahead and just do it again. When Kemp runs against Jon Ossoff, if he loses, he's just going to go and be like, hey, this race is actually supposed to be mine. If Tillis loses to Cooper, he'll just go, hey, this race is actually mine. In 2028, either Trump is going to try and run and just go, actually, the race is technically mine, or he's just not going to leave office at all, or the Republican nominee is just going to say, oh, this race is actually mine. It doesn't matter, guys. You don't understand. It's over. You can't turn this off. It's been legitimized, and it's going to happen continually. It's over. Anyways, the last news story is one that is interesting and one that is going to issue a call to action. Okay, scoop. Heritage Foundation plans to identify and target Wikipedia editors. The Heritage Foundation plans to identify and target volunteer editors on Wikipedia who it says are abusing their powers, abusing their position, by publishing content the group believes to be anti-Semitic, according to documents obtained by The Forward. Employees of Heritage, the conservative think tank produced by Project 2025, Policy Blueprint, and the second Trump administration, say they plan to use facial recognition software and a database of hacked usernames and passwords in order to identify contributors to the online encyclopedia who mostly work under pseudonyms. It's not clear exactly what type of anti-Semitism the Wikipedia effort, which has not been previously reported, is intended to address. But in recent months, some Jewish groups have complained about a series of changes on the website relating to Israel, the war on Gaza, and its repercussions. In June, a panel of Wikipedia editors declared the Anti-Defamation League a generally unreliable source of information about the Israeli-Palestine conflict, limiting when the organization can be cited in Wikipedia articles, and there was an outcry this fall among some Jewish scholars and pro-Israel activists over edits to Wikipedia's entry for Zionism to add references to colonialism. Wikipedia has also recently drawn ire from right-wing figures like Elon Musk, the billionaire who has been President-elect Trump's side during much of the transition. Musk posting on X, formerly Twitter, in December, stopped donating to Wikipedia. A Heritage Foundation spokesperson said she was not able to answer questions about the organization's work related to Wikipedia, which editors it seeks to target, to identify, or how it sought to target them. The Wikimedia Foundation, which provides infrastructure for Wikipedia, declined to comment. And this is a big thing that is really important. Because this is the thing we all need to understand. I want everybody on the same page about this. Like, forget everything you've heard about Wikipedia before. Let's talk about this. The Heritage Foundation is trying to destroy Wikipedia. Elon Musk has been trying to buy Wikipedia for the past couple of years. He's like openly said like jokes like, haha, I want to buy Wikipedia, haha. And since he cannot buy Wikipedia on its own, he's telling people to stop donating to Wikipedia. And the Heritage Foundation is, again, of course, as I said, as the story says, they're trying to shut down Wikipedia. Wikipedia is the last reliable source left online. It is the last source that is 100% reliable, 100% free of bias, 100% good. Like, fuck JJ McAuliffe, I don't care. User JJ, your time is coming soon. But the fact of the matter is, Wikipedia is the last reliable source online. And it has been a reliable and useful source for years. it has been at the forefront of many of the battles of free information online because it tells you the facts. It doesn't editorialize. It doesn't lie. It just tells you the facts, and then you come to your own conclusions. Everybody who says otherwise is just fucking lying and wants you to 100% believe their narrative without any shred of, like, understanding. The only people who think Wikipedia are biased are 10 times more biased than Wikipedia has ever been. Ranging from conservatives who want to bitch and moan that it has a left-wing bias, to tankies who think that Wikipedia is actually a secret CIA op. I understand criticisms you might have of Wikipedia. I made a whole podcast talking about Wikipedia, but the fact of the matter is, Wikipedia is the last reliable source, and I think the best course of action is to either join Wikipedia to help in its efforts, or just donate. I recently made a $10 donation to Wikipedia, and if you could spare money, I would highly suggest you donate to Wikipedia too, to make sure that they don't have to be bought out by a guy like Elon Musk. Wikipedia is the last place that hasn't been corporatized online. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's move on to the main topic of this episode. I'm going to be doing, this is just going to be a bit rambly, a bit decentralized, a bit like the old podcast. Basically, I just have a list of a bunch of politicians, like a bunch of US politicians that I think are based, and I'm going to be going over them and reading them all. Now, I think the first thing I should say is, what do I mean by politician? Because in this sense, when I mean politician, I basically mean elected officials. I mean, I know there are some people who run that are cool, but it's like, they can't really do much, except for run. I think there's only one person on here that is not an incumbent politician, but we'll get to them when we get to them. And I guess this is just basically me doing this so I can have just so I can kind of like get this out of the way, so like, because I don't have the Weebly website anymore that has like the endorsement list, just so I could get it on the record, like, these are the politicians that I think are based and are worth your support. We can get into various reasons why, and I will try to like delve into reasons why, but, you know, we'll get to them when we get to them. Let's start off with the Senate, and with that we can get the most obvious one out of the way, Bernie Sanders. We will never get tired of Bernie. We stand him in this house. The left in America literally owes everything to Bernie. So there's literally nothing else I could say. Like, I could say a lot of things about him, but of all the things I can say about him, I'll say one thing. He is definitely a good politician. Next is Jeff Merkley. Jeff Merkley is a politician that I don't know if I was kind of like I wasn't the one who started like the Jeff Merkley love, but like Jeff Merkley, I guess on the online left, like I don't think anybody really talks about Jeff Merkley of all people, but like Jeff Merkley kind of has like a bit of a reputation. I mean, he's like we all know he's like basically for the most part kind of like a normie dem, like a further left normie dem to be fair, but like he got notable for a couple of reasons. His first step in notoriety, at least on the progressive space, was the fact that he was the only incumbent senator at the time to endorse Bernie Sanders' bid. And to me, that was big. Like, I mean, it's not the end-all be-all of, like, him being, like, a good politician. Like, I mean, you know, I looked through his record, and his record is, like, fine. But he definitely does, like, have that route of, like, being, like, more progressive than most of the other politicians in Washington. And apparently, I mean, according to Track APAC, he's apparently the only other senator, aside from Bernie, to refuse Israel lobby money. That's a bit interesting. Jeff was even was kind of like seen as like the sixth member of the Hell No Caucus. For those who don't remember, the Hell No Caucus was basically in the first Trump term. There was a group of senators that became colloquially called the Hell No Caucus, where basically every time Trump would bring a major piece of policies to their desks, they would vote against it. It was Bernie, Kamala, Cory, Gillibrand, Warren, and Merkley. And most people kind of knew that the reason why those six were on the Hell No Caucus was because they were all possibly interested in running for president in 2020. With Merkley being the only one who didn't run for president in 2020. And as that suggests, I guess I should mention this, Elizabeth Warren's not on here. Fuck Elizabeth Warren. I hate her. I never forget a snake. Next person, Peter Welch. In a way, He's Bernie Sanders' protege. He's lesser than Bernie Sanders because he's not a socialist, just a Democrat, and takes a little bit of Israel money, but Welch has done really well for his career, especially recently. He didn't pull a Fetterman where he ran one way and then became something else, which is very typical for a lot of politicians in Welch's territory, where it's like when you're in your House seat, you go one way, but then when you go to the Senate, you get another. It's the one thing that we're seeing nowadays, especially with Ruben Gallego, where he's getting a lot of flack because he voted for the Lake and Riley Act, and then everyone is like, oh my goodness, why is Ruben Gallego doing this? To which I'm a little bit confused, because Ruben Gallego voted for it earlier in the year. It's like, what? He voted for it in March, so it's like, why are you complaining that he's voting for it this time? But that's because when he was in the House, he was considered a progressive. Based on whose metric? I don't know. He was the only guy who endorsed Eric Swalwell's bid, so it's like, how is that progressive? I don't know. Regardless, there is one more senator that is actually based. Ed Markey. I was part of the Markey-mentum of the last campaign, and unlike others who dipped out after we stopped Kennedy, I decided to stick around because Markey's actually pretty decent, at least for the Senate. Way better than fucking Warren. While I would back him if he did run for re-election, I do kind of go, okay, I would kind of like it if he didn't run for re-election. He should look at retirement because of the fact that he's just generally an old man. But, if he does run, which he has technically announced that he is running, but if he decides to stick with that run, I wouldn't mind him staying around. But, I just generally would like for him to go. I mean, like I said, I don't know if I said this before, but if I was in the House right now, if I could snap my fingers and there was a term and make a term, if there was a button that said term limits now and press that button, I'd be fine with it. I would press that button immediately. And even if that means Peter Welch is gone, or Ed Markey's gone, or Jeff Merkley's gone, it's so be it. Anyways, the rest of the Senate sucks. So let's move on to the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives is where we get a bit more interesting, because there's always been this there's always been different levels of the House. I mean, of course, we can throw out all Republicans, fuck all Republicans. And there's a lot of the Democratic caucus we can immediately throw out. And there's even a lot of the Progressive caucus that we can throw out. But there's always, a group of progressives or, progressive type people that are, they teeter on being, somewhat good and somewhat bad. But, basically, they would be ranked, all those people that I stated before would be ranked, C and below. Basically, everybody here, I would give, if I were to give every member of the House a report card, I'd give, at the very least, these guys a B+ and above. And for this one, we can get this out of the way, the very obvious one. The squad. Let's be real, I'll just say it, the squad. Let's just acknowledge the squad. AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Summer Lee, Dealey Ramirez, and Greg Casar. Let's just admit it. Those guys, immediately, we know that those guys are based. I know I made a whole video where I talked about the squad as base, and you should all shut the fuck up. If any of you go in the comment section to be like, oh, the squad's not base, you're stupid, and you're exactly what the Republicans need. Republicans need people like you to dissuade people like me to not helping and supporting the people who are actually on our side. They've done significantly more on activism and policy than we have. They've done significantly more on Palestine than any of the fuckers that are crying and pissing and shitting. So literally all of you people that sit down and complain hashtag on Twitter free Palestine. You guys mean nothing. Doesn't matter. Rashid Tlaib and Ilhan Omar have actually introduced ceasefire resolutions and actually have done that. To reiterate, AOC, Rashid Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Summer Lee, Dealey Ramirez, and Greg Casar are all based. Especially considering all but one of them are socialist. Well, I mean, actually, Ramirez and Pressley are not socialists, but Lee, Omar, Tlaib, Cortez, and Casar are all socialists. Guys, why are we living in a world where we got multiple socialists elected to Congress and you're complaining still? We live in, they do the things you want, you complain. They do the things that you don't want, they complain. Generally, I'll just say this again, I'll say this before and I say this again. The thing that immediately killed any single semblance of any criticism of the squad was when they literally did a thing that these guys wanted them to do, and then immediately were told, oh, no, that doesn't matter. Literally, they voted against the BIF, which is what these guys said they wanted them to do, And then they immediately turn around and say, oh yeah, of course they voted against the BIF because they knew they would pass anyways. Let's see them vote no on a bill that matters. It's like, you explicitly told them you wanted them to do this. They did the thing you said for them to do. And instead of giving them credit, you then went, no, that wasn't good enough. And that's not to say that you can't find anything that they voted against or for, and you're like, hey, this is a bad thing, or this is a good thing. But you could literally just it's like, there's so many things, like, yeah, you could criticize them for individual votes, but it's like, they're still based. They still got like 90%, like what? Like, it's like, it'll literally be like, oh, this one time they voted for this one bill that was pretty bad. It is like, okay. Or it'll be like, oh, this bill, which gave like $6 million to Ukraine, but also guaranteed that you can't deny people like cancer treatment or whatever. Oh, they voted for that bill. That's crazy. It's like, wait, why is that crazy? Because they voted to support Ukraine. It's like, Ukraine isn't a fucking litmus test for me. I don't care. Like what? Like, when there's an actual bill that makes me question about whether or not the squad is good, then I'll let you fucking know. But the problem is that bill doesn't exist yet. The reason that they hate the squad is because the squad approves their strategy wrong. Because they think, oh, the strategy is that working with the Democrats is 100% going to fail and there's no point. Meanwhile, the squad exists and they actually do things. It's like, yeah, they still get fucked over by the Democratic Party. And guess what? It's because people like you won't help them. Okay, let's get off of that and let's move on to the next person who in Congress that's based. My boy, Chuy Garcia. Now, if you don't know anything about the story of me and Chuy Garcia, the story is that in the 2018 midterms, which is the election where I was starting off my YouTube channel, and I was paying attention to a couple of the progressive primary challenges that were going on. I mean, I actually started my YouTube channel and covered AOC's win when it first happened. Like, I was paying attention to a lot of the wins, and I was paying attention to, like, and there was one specific race that not a lot of people talked about. Like, Bernie would campaign a lot with AOC after she won, and then, like, you know, campaign with some of the other members of the squad, like Rashid Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. But one person that he actually got involved heavily in the primary was when he was actively helping Chuy Garcia because of loyalty that the two had, where it's like, Bernie endorsed Chuy in the 2015 race, I think, and then Chuy endorsed Bernie in the 2016 election. And I was like, well, I mean, he trusts him, but I don't really know much about his policies. And then he made his website have policies. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on board now. And I mean, I kind of did it as like, kind of like, you know, like, haha, like a Latino, Hispanic. That's cool. But it's also like, he is generally like, he hasn't done anything to like make me not like him. It's pretty base, not gonna lie. I honestly thought that he'd kind of be like a pretty bad, not like a Warren Dem, but like, you know, progressive in like sort of like the older style. But like, no, he actually has been doing a lot of good things in the House, even like way more than like you'd expect. Next one is Pramila Jayapal. Jayapal is, of course, a very good member of Congress. She's been doing a lot of good jobs as the leader of the Progressive Caucus. And now that she's retired from that position, she's just gonna fade into the background. But, you know, she's been otherwise good progressive. Kind of like the first wave of the Bernie-crats who entered into Congress, alongside next person here, Ro Khanna. Ro Khanna's been a loyal Bernie-crat since day one, and he's had a big place in the electoral left, I guess. Even though Ro is, you know, obviously a progressive capitalist, he's a bit more of like a normie Dem, but, you know, otherwise, Ro has been showing a lot of good bona fides, especially in areas that you would think, oh, he would be a little bit different, but like, no, he's actually it's like a lot of people point out, like, he's the member of Congress that represents Silicon Valley, and yet he's one of the largest critics of like media conglomerates. Next one is Raul Grijalva, who I remember getting a shout out on Secular Talk, where it's like, the furthest left member of Congress, Raul Grijalva, is a member of the Justice Democrats now. And yeah, Raul's kind of cool. He kind of lost a little bit of fervor when he endorsed Warren in 2020. But, I mean, he's overall still a good Dem. He's going to be retiring soon. But, you know, just giving him a shout out when I still can. Mark Buchanan got pretty cool in 2020 when he endorsed Bernie. He was kind of cool before, but, like, ever since then, he's been relatively cool. Now, the next couple of people are going to be ones that are, I mean, I guess I'll just say this. I'll say this one. This is like the newest member of Congress that is actually pretty cool. Latifah Simon. She, in her 2 most recent votes, she's been based in those 2 votes. And it makes sense. She's the member of Congress that is replacing Barbara Lee, who replaced Ron Dellums. She's seemingly going to continue their like more radical-ish legacy. There are criticisms you can make about both of them, but like overall, they've been good members of Congress. But yeah, she's seemingly based thus far. This is kind of like the grace period where like people that I didn't pay attention to in the elections of 2024 get a chance to prove themselves to me. So there is one person I'm keeping my eye on, but I'm not going to say who they are because it's like they're kind of cringe, but they're also kind of not cringe. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe I'll add them in a future list. Maybe I won't. The next 2 based people are 2 people that are colloquially called the Marks. Mark Takano and Mark DeSalenur. Mark DeSalenur is strange because he's just like a decently fine leftish Democrat, like progressive Dem. I mean, nothing really too out of the ordinary. He's just kind of cool. But there is a really weird story where apparently during the 2016 election, he thought about endorsing Bernie but didn't. It's kind of weird. Because like there are a lot of news stories from like the 2016 election where there are members of Congress that explicitly state that they were torn between endorsing Bernie and Hillary Clinton, and they just decided not to endorse Bernie. In the same article where Mark DeSalenur goes over his thing, it also says that Jared Huffman, one of the only atheists in Congress, thought about endorsing Bernie but decided against it to support Hillary Clinton. But Takano is kind of similar. It's like he's kind of based in his policies. He endorsed Bernie in 2020, like kind of out of a left field, I think. Because I think he endorsed him after the California primary. That's kind of weird. But he's pretty good in regards to like policies. He's not the best, but he's just fine. Next is Jim McGovern, who's a relatively progressive Dem. You know, again, similarly, like there are criticisms you can give him, but he's kind of he's relatively been fine in a lot of policies. Next is one that I really, really didn't want to add on the list because I had a very distinct rule for a long period of time, and it was the rule of don't back New Democrats. That was my big rule. Don't back New Democrats. But there's one New Democrat that really has been changing the tune, and that's Andre Carson. I'm sorry. And it's purely because of the Palestine issue. Like, I mean, he's kind of fine on a lot of other issues. Like, you know, he's for Medicare for all. He's, like, in the Progressive Caucus, too. But it's, like, I don't know why he's a member of the New Dem Caucus. I think it's just because, like, I think the New Dems kind of pride themselves to be, like, you know, rural Democrats. But the Palestine issue is the one that I really started to notice. Andre's just like, wow. He's been taking a really, like, I mean, Rashida and Omar obviously are in front of him, but, like, he's been number 3 in that regard for a while. Incredibly based, not gonna lie. Okay, so next one is the two newer members of Congress, Becca Balint and Maxwell Frost. I kind of teetered a little bit on Frost for a little while because it was like I think very early on in the Palestine conflict, he was like touting like being like, oh, I'm super pro-Israel, but then like he kind of had like a weird stance on Israel where it's like apparently when he started out his campaign he was like pro-Palestinian, and then when he went into Congress he's like, oh, I'm pro-Israel all of a sudden, and then when he actually like when this happened he started becoming pro-Palestinian again. So it's like, I mean, I guess he's fine. And Becca Balint I think also had like problems with Israel very early on in the election, but you know she's kind of like joined on with the ceasefire movement, so it's like she's seemingly based now. All right. Now let's move on to all the other politicians in the United States that aren't people who are members of the like House or Senate. I don't know much about many other like smaller politicians, so we're just gonna go by a lot of them kind of fast. First, big obvious one, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison. I love Keith Ellison, and I'll always love Keith Ellison forever. I will never doubt anything that he does again. Chicago City Councilor Carlos Ramirez Rosa is one that I have been paying attention to a lot, especially in the possibility of him succeeding Chuy Garcia in Congress. Future Oakland Mayor Barbara Lee. I mean, I'm sorry, I just had to shout her out. She's running for Oakland Mayor. She could be useful. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. I really don't know where a lot of the hate for Brandon Johnson's coming around. From what I've seen, he's been doing fine. Maybe there's more that I'm missing. Durham County Commissioner Nita Alam, she ran a super pro-Palestinian campaign for Congress, and she's still a member of, like, the Durham County Commissioner's office, so keep an eye on for her if she ever runs for a statewide or local office again. New York City Public Advocate Jumaine Williams, he's pretty cool, I like him. New York State Senator Jabari Brisport, I like him. New York Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani, I like him. They're both Democratic Socialists, they're based. Burlington Mayor Emma Mulvaney Stanak, I like her, she's cool. She's a socialist, she's in the Bernie world. Jackson, Mississippi Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba, he's pretty cool. I mean, he's a socialist in the South, so that's kind of cool. Minnesota State Senator Omar Fateh, I only mention him because he's currently running for Minneapolis mayor, so keep an eye out for him. Rhode Island State Senator Tiara Mack, I'll be real, I only heard of her because of a controversy that she got into, and it was a very interesting controversy. Basically, the controversy was that there was a debate over women's bodily autonomy, so what she did was that she decided to go to the beach in a bikini and twerk for the camera to show, like, women have bodily autonomy. And, you know, of course, conservatives went ballistic, like, how dare she do that? And it's like, you kind of proved your point, I guess. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, not only because of his treatment during the Trump campaign, but he also was a progressive candidate. Like, there were two progressives who were running. One was endorsed by, like, Bernie and, like, more nationwide progressives, but Zephyr Teachout, I think, and backed Alvin's candidacy. Two Nebraska state senators, Megan Hunt and Michaela Cavanaugh. Megan Hunt because she's like a Democratic Socialist Independent, and Cavanaugh because she was one of the leading voices for trans rights in Nebraska. Speaking of, Montana State Representative Zooey Zephyr, who has been a leading voice for trans rights in Montana. Philadelphia City Councilwoman Kendra Brooks is pretty cool. She's a Working Families Party candidate, so, you know, she's proof that third-party candidates can win. LA City Controller Kenneth Mejia, I've been following his career for a while, so, you know, maybe he could be useful in a nationwide bid. And last, the one that I know is Andrew Zwicker, who is a New Jersey senator, and I only put him on the list because he is one of the few openly atheist members of government. So yeah, those are all the politicians I know that are based. Sorry if this episode was shorter or whatever, but again, diseased, so, you know, you're lucky you got an episode anyways. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell to find out future video when it comes out. And if you want more content from me, consider supporting me on Patreon.